What's up, everybody? It's your boy Diz, and I'm back with another video. I know it's been a minute since I created a video, but man, I've been on this journey, and I'm finally in a place where I feel like I can come on here and just be my authentic self and talk about some things that we're all probably struggling with. And the first thing that I want to talk about is how we can overcome lust. I feel like I'm finally in a place to where I can talk about a lot of different topics and not feel like a hypocrite, right? You know, um, don't get me wrong. I'm still battling. I'm still fighting. I'm still striving. But like I said, I'm finally in a place to where I can speak on these things and hopefully help somebody else go like get through this situation, because the things that I've been doing in my private time has just helped me tremendously. So that's what I aim to do with this video. So before we get started with the video, if you guys can go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button. Anytime I drop a video, you'll be notified. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get straight into it. So lust isn't just about sex. It's about being controlled. If you're fighting lust, it's not because you're weak, it's because you're human, right? And that's important to understand. Like, we are all going through this. Even your most famous preacher that you might see on TV or on social media, even the most dedicated person to God, they are struggling with lust. Not saying that they're giving into it, but they're struggling with it because we are human and we don't wrestle with flesh and blood. It's the spiritual things that we wrestle with every day. So we're going to get tempted, right? So lust doesn't ruin your life overnight. It ruins them quietly, right? And the real danger of lust is not what you do, what it turns into, right? So that's very, very important, man. So I'll give you a quick story. So I remember when I was younger, when I was in the 8th grade going into the ninth grade, that summer, that's when I first lost my virginity, right? And after that, it's like a whole different world opened up to me, because as a young boy, we've all had those urges, and we all see things. We might have got a little glimpse of pornography, or who knows what it was that what we seen, and it was planted in our minds. So when we finally get a taste of it, it just opens up a world that we're not ready for. And if you don't have someone strong in your life helping you with this, helping you understand what you're going through, then this can take a turn. So like I said, when I had lost my virginity, it just opened up doors, because I was a pretty popular guy. I was a pretty good athlete. I wasn't bad looking, so it made it easy for me to connect with uh, girls and women. And and once, like I said, once that door opened up for me, man, I just kind of went down a rabbit hole of constantly trying to please that desire of lust that I was feeling, that was filled inside of me. Like I said, I didn't have anybody teaching me this. Most times we looked up to guys who was always getting the girls, and always, just the popular guys, and they wasn't teaching us the right ways, because they was under attack of the spirit of lust too. So all throughout my high school years, I'm just messing with different girls, talking to different girls, and acting in different ways. And I was just constantly filling myself with these lustful desires, man, and I was acting on them too. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know any better. And the crazy thing is, I had always gone to church my whole life, but like I said, once again, I didn't have anybody in my life to help me understand that this can ultimately kill me. This can ultimately put me in situations to where, you know, I might not be able to come from. This can lead me down a road of getting the STD. This can lead me down a road of, you know, having a baby. And all these things are life altering um, circumstances that just happen to a lot of people by feeling that desire of lust. And you know, so that was one thing that I was definitely going through. So, you know, most people think lust is just sexual desire, but you know that's honestly too shallow. Lust is desire without discipline, right? So we're going to have these type of desires, right? Everybody's going to have this desire to be with this girl or be with that guy or whatever the case may be. But if you don't have the discipline to refrain yourself, it's going to lead you down a road that you don't want to go to. It's when appetite becomes the leader instead of the servant. It's not just sexual, it's craving, it's escapism, it's fantasy, and it's dopamine addiction. You know, lust is the mind escaping responsibility by chasing pleasure, right? So we might have tasks that we know we need to do, right? And let me go back to, high school. I was a pretty good athlete, right? And one of the things that kept me from reaching my full potential as an athlete was lust, right? So I had this friend. We were kind of one and the same. We were kind of like the both top athletes in our school. This was like my best friend. Now, he had an older brother. He had a stepfather to help him um, understand what he was chasing and what he was doing, right? Now, I'm not saying that he didn't have lustful desires, because, there was times we both did lustful things, chasing women together, right? But he had discipline to go along with that. So it would be times that he would constantly go to the gym every single day and work on his craft, right? I would go and be chasing girls and, chasing the fun crowd and doing the wrong things, right? And that ultimately stopped me from reaching my full potential when it came to being the best athlete I could be, right? And I never got to play college basketball. He went along, played college basketball. He went overseas and played pro for a couple years, and now he's a D1 basketball coach, right? So by him having that discipline to where he might have these desires, but he didn't have to act on them all the time. That led him into getting to the position that he is. Now, me, I didn't get to go that route. I had to go a different route. And that's because I was always acting on, or chasing my lustful desires, right? So let me tell you why, lust is so powerful. So lust hijacks dopamine. It's kind of the same system as drugs, right? It trains the brain to want more and not better, like porn, social media, fantasy, and constant stimulation. The brain gets used to shortcuts instead of effort. Lust promises satisfaction but delivers restlessness. Let me say that again. Lust promises satisfaction but delivers restlessness. So in that moment, right? Think of if you're a smoker, right? I used to smoke weed. You know that you smoke a blunt, it's only gonna last 5-10 minutes, right? That high is only gonna last maybe 30 to 45 minutes to an hour, depending on your how much you smoke, right? After you smoke, you like, dang, I need to smoke again. I need to do this again. I need to do this again, right? And you might get some satisfaction, but you just still restless. Like, man, I want more. I want more. I need to keep doing this. I need to keep doing this. And that's the same thing with lust, right? It's like you can't get enough, and it just keeps leading you down the wrong path to where you just like you at a point of no return, right? Now, there's always a hidden cost of lust. And this is the part that hits hard, right? When you are constantly chasing these lustful desires, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. It's inevitable. It is going to cost you. It's going to kill your focus. It's going to weaken discipline. It's going to create some shame cycles. It's going to ruin your confidence. It's going to make relationships feel boring. It's going to steal your energy from your purpose. You can't build a future when your energy is leaking into fantasies. Listen, man, it is so hard to reach your goals when you're constantly being lustful and you're constantly chasing these lustful desires. Like I said, with me and my friend, he went on and got to do, these great things as an athlete. And I missed that, right? Now, then too, in my adult years, me trying to accomplish things, sometimes, have you ever been hard at work doing something that you're trying to accomplish, and then some female or some guy hits you up, hey, what you doing, right? And then it throws you off because now you're going to do these things, right? That you're like, dang, I gotta finish this. I gotta finish this book, or I gotta finish this page, or I gotta finish my writing. And then this person out of nowhere just hits you up like, man, and it throws you off track, right? And then another thing, when like I said, it creates the shame cycle. One of my biggest things was me watching porn, right? Me watching porn. It would be times where I would watch some porn and then I end up touching myself. And then after the fact, I'm like, dang, why did I do that? That post-nut clarity, right? And it hit you hard. It will hit you hard. That post-nut clarity will like get into your mind like, dang, why am I touching myself? Why am I watching this porn video? And it's just a cycle, because it's like, even though like, dang, why am I doing this? Maybe an hour, 2 hours later, you doing the same thing again. And then now you're looking at yourself crazy like, man, I'm worthless. You start looking at yourself in a different light, right? And that'll ruin, like I said, it'll ruin your confidence, and it'll make your relationships feel boring. For instance, if you constantly watching porn, right, and you got these fantasies on this specific type of porn that you're watching, right, and you could be in a relationship with someone, and you're not performing those things that you see, or your partner isn't performing these things that you see on these porn videos. Now you looking at your partner like, man, this ain't the right person for me because she's not fulfilling what I need, or he's not fulfilling what I need, right? So it'll make your relationship feel boring. It'll take a hit on your relationships. And I've went through that because, you could be with someone, and then what happened is like, you might have dealt with someone who is fulfilling these desires for you, right? I was never the best boyfriend. I'll tell you that, guys. I was never the best boyfriend because, like I said, I was, one of those athletes who thought, I was on top of the world and I could do whatever. I could have any girl I want. So even though I might be in a relationship, I might be messing with this other girl on the side, right? And this other girl on the side was performing these fantasies that I was seeing on these porn videos, right? And then it had me thinking like, man, maybe I should be with this person. Even though I knew it was like, man, I can't take this person serious, but she's fulfilling what I desire. Made me look at my relationship like, man. And then, like I said, it goes back to, this can steal your energy from your purpose. You could be after something that that is your purpose, and then you just these lustful desires just start popping up, and you start chasing that. We gotta overcome lust, and it's not an easy thing to beat. It's not. And let me tell you why lust is so hard to beat. Lust is often a symptom and not the problem. It grows when you're bored, lonely, stressed, and unfulfilled. It fills emotional gaps and not sexual ones. It's like you don't crave lust, you crave relief. Like your mind can get overwhelmed with things, right? Like if you're working on a project and you have been working hard at it and you become overstimulated, you might indulge into that lustful desire. You might indulge in that weed. You might indulge in, let me call this girl over, or if this girl hits your phone, or if this guy hits your phone, you indulge in that, right? And that takes energy away from you. And by that taking energy away from you, it's taking energy away from your purpose, because you should have put all that energy into the thing that you was trying to complete. And that thing that you was trying to complete is what's going to open up the doors for you. But you're constantly in lust, you know? So there's a lot of things that you have to do to overcome this, right? And this has to be a daily practice, daily. Not one day a week, not, every other day. This has to be daily, because you have to feel that time. Because if you're not busy, you're going to get bored, and you're going to be lonely, you're going to get stressed, and then you're going to start doing these lustful things, right? So one way is you got to watch, what you got to watch what you're watching, because what you watch becomes what you want. You got to unfollow some triggers, and you got to stop feeding your eyes things your future can't afford. If you're constantly on the internet, this is a big one. If you're constantly on the internet scrolling, those lustful desires is going to pop up. It's like, the internet is so tricky, because, we could be on our phones and talking about, or we could be talking about something, and then the next thing you know, it pops up on our phone. If you constantly scrolling Instagram, constantly scrolling Facebook, Snapchat, the things that we want, we start to see it. Now we're back in that cycle, right? So you gotta replace these things and fill your time up. Like going to the gym, right? Get creative. If you like to write, draw, build, whatever that is, you got to do some type of creative work, right? And the main one is prayer and fasting. This is the best way. I'm not going to say it's the only way, because like I said, there's other things like gym, creative work, cold showers, journaling, and building something meaningful, building something that's bigger than yourself. But you can do all those things, but if you're not praying and fasting, they are just going to come back stronger. They are just going to come back stronger. There's this saying that nature hates a vacuum. If you remove lust but add nothing, it will come back stronger. So you have to pray and fast against this. If you are not praying and fasting, hey, listen, you're just going to be in the same cycle, my boy. The same cycle. And that has been the biggest thing for me when it comes to, beating all my addictions. We got to. And, the main thing is you got to build some type of structure in your life, like fixing your wake up times, having less idle time, have some clear goals, a daily routine. That all those things kill temptation. You know, and not saying that we're going to, you know, not be tempted by doing these things, you know, because you can go to the gym, you might see somebody in some tights, and want to get the number or whatever. Um, we're going to be constantly tempted, guys. There's no way around it. We're going to be constantly tempted, right? So look, lust is the body leading the soul, right? When you praying and meditating on your word and fasting, listen, your spirit man starts to lead your body. But when you are constantly feeding your flesh, that is what's going to lead your soul. You know, so you got to get some type of discipline, because once you get that discipline, the discipline is putting the soul back in charge. Do y'all hear me? The discipline is putting the soul back in charge. The battle is always going to be internal, not external, right? We wrestle against the spiritual things that we can't see. We can't see what's inside our body. We can't see what's inside of our mind, but we know things are working, right? So it's always going to be an internal battle and not the external, right? And the temptation is the test of alignment. You're going to be tempted every single day. But if you deny yourself, that's when you start to align with your purpose. So listen, guys, you know, you got to ask yourself, what would my life look like if I mastered these desires? You don't need more willpower. You need a reason that's bigger than your urges. All right? The man who controls himself can't be controlled by the world. And I want y'all to rest on that. So if this video has helped you, please subscribe to the channel. You know, I'm gonna create a series of things that, you know, that I've been going through. And you know, the series is basically gonna be about, you know, rebuilding discipline, purpose, and self-control from the inside out. All right. I also have a book that I wrote that you can check on Amazon. I'll put it in my description, and you know, you guys go get that. So like I said, if this helped you out, man, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop some comments, let me know if you're battling with these things, and hopefully, you know, we can help each other grow. All right, man, I'll see y'all in the next video.